Jerry, how's it going? Cindy Lou? Mike, how are you? Lisa, hello? Numbers are picking up, guys. Every day I'm having more conversations with people about Litecoin accounts, Coinbase accounts, silver. It's going well. Keep pushing. Give it a few more seconds here and we'll get started. Dorothy, how are you? Rita, hello? James, how you doing? That's weird. Kevin, how you doing? Natalie, how are you? A couple more come in, I think. Okay. Swampwatch. 12, 22, 19. Whew. Because we've got so many new people coming in, I just want to kind of run over real quick how we all got started, how this got started, what we're doing here, what we're trying to accomplish. Most of you know I was called by God to do this in 2014. So basically 5 years ago. God, there's a couple of things I want to clarify. I'm a watchman. I was called by God to warn as many people as I could in whatever time there was. That was in 2014. It's hard to describe, but the easiest, I think, the clearest way to say it is that I've been kind of on a lit path. I'm led to things. And then I kind of get a confirmation when I'm on something. The first was the first ever worldwide economic collapse, which we are on the brink of right now. Could happen any day. And to put this in perspective, the 1929, the Great Depression, only impacted 30% of the people in America, and it was devastating. throughout the world, less than 5% were impacted. In this coming collapse, there's not a person in the world that's not going to be impacted. Everybody's going to lose something. Pensions, retirement funds, stocks, bonds, bank accounts. Virtually anything you have on paper is going to be worthless. That was the first thing. Showed me physical silver as a way to insure us against these coming losses. Showed me Litecoin. Showed me Carbon 60, which is a supplement that I think everybody should be on. You can get it at Amazon. You should go to YouTube and do a search on it. Carbon 60. You can get it at Amazon. It's like, I think it's $19 or $18 or $19 a bottle. It lasts you a week. Best supplement I've ever been on. Get into it. If you have any questions, message me. Showed me the exposure of the worldwide satanic pedophile ring. Basically, the people, when you hear the cabal, the Illuminati, it's the same people. We're talking about, and it's pretty chilling, we're talking about the most powerful people in the world. We're talking about former United States presidents. We're talking about the Pope. We're talking about the royal family. If you haven't followed the Nexium case or the Epstein case, you need to take a look, because that's really all about what's coming next, which is the takedown of this satanic pedophile ring. Some of you may have heard about the Hillary Clinton snuff video. This is a video that was in a file on Anthony Weiner's laptop. The New York PD seized with a warrant when they were investigating. He had some sexting charges to minors in the South somewhere. This video was, amongst many others, in a file marked life insurance. Isn't that fitting? It's true. It's one of the most horrific things you'll ever hear about. I'm not going to go into the details tonight because they're sickening. But basically, the bottom line here is these people, for thousands of years, I think since Babylon, have controlled the world. And they're Satanists. And they do satanic rituals. And they torture and murder children and then drain their blood because they'll have elevated adrenochrome levels when they're tortured like that. They believe that makes them high and makes them live longer. This is all going to come out, guys. Anyway, one of the things I'm warning about, this is the thing I'm most concerned about, is this satanic pedophilia, because you can't learn about this. It's so horrific. You can't learn about this without suffering some degree of cognitive dissonance. And that's basically when your mind has a strongly held belief, and it's contradicted by, in this case, facts of something that's pretty horrible. Basically, it's like a computer freezing. It's like an overload of information, and people have a hard time functioning. You can imagine, in the midst of a worldwide economic collapse, which could cause martial law, rioting, looting, with the swamp being drained about the same time, with possibly food supplies being short, banks closed, and you're suffering from cognitive dissonance, and you got no food in the house, and your kids are hungry. It's not a good combo. I want to say that the worst case scenario for what's coming is the power going out and the stores, the grocery stores, being out of food. I believe that President Trump has got this lined out. You know, we might have food shortages. The power may go down. I don't think it'll go down long term. But if he can keep the power on and food in the stores, we're going to get through this fine. The people who are prepared are going to thrive. Extra food, extra water, medical supplies, ammo, physical silver, Litecoin is just the basics. And then you obviously want more depending on your own situation. Where you live, you know, what kind of resources you have available. Anybody who has questions, feel free to message me. We have about 400 hours now of live chats you can go through, previous episodes. I've got hundreds of videos and articles posted on my page and on the Watchman page. You can research all this stuff yourself. You should be researching all this stuff yourself. Because knowledge right now, you know, you hear the saying, knowledge is power. It's never been more true than it is right now. It could be the difference between feast and famine, life and death. If it goes worst case. Again, I think we have the right guy at the right time in the right place. You couldn't ask for anybody better at this time than President Trump. Anybody who does not see God's hand in this isn't looking. I can tell you, if President Trump didn't have the hand of God on him, he'd be dead by now. Because these people have been trying to kill him since before I think he became president. And since, I think there's over 10 confirmed, through back channels, confirmed attempts. One from that Mike Pence and Paul Ryan were involved in. All this stuff's going to come out as we get into it, and we're close. My point is, I'm not a reporter. I'm here to warn you guys. I'm not the guy that's going to come out here and give you a story and then give you all my resources. Because a lot of this stuff I put together on my own. It's kind of piecing stuff together and from a lot of different sources. And basically what I've done, it's been an obsession. For 5 years, I've been on the internet. I've got like 25,000 hours in. Days a week, pretty much 16 hours a day. I get up at 4 in the morning. I go to bed about, 10:30. When I'm awake, I'm on the internet. I go to the gym an hour a day. I watch a couple hours of TV just to kind of get away from it. But this is what I do. With that research, you kind of get to figure things out. Of course, I've got, I think, an inside edge here because I think I'm kind of led in the right directions too. But there's two separate things going on here. There are things that God has shown me, and those are the things I just described. The economic collapse, the swamp takedown, the exposure to the pedophilia, physical silver, Litecoin, carbon-60. Those are the things that God showed me to tell people about. A lot of the other stuff I'm putting together, I'm just kind of putting the pieces to the puzzle together. And that's also based on, the guys that I follow. And that's one of the hardest things when you get into this, because you're not going to get this information on the mainstream media. They're 100% CIA controlled. It's deep state. Look up Project Mockingbird. Everybody wants to say, well, the press doesn't like President Trump. They're being paid not to like President Trump. They're getting a script, and it's been going on for 60 years. This started back after the Second World War. So you've got to do your own research, and for me, it's places like Greg Hunter on YouTube. There's a ton of channels. All you have to do is go to the pages and look at the people that I'm posting, and those are the people you should be following. There's probably 25 of them. These are the guys. Nobody gets it right all the time, but these are the guys that get it right most of the time. They're honest. They're not shills. And then I kind of, through 25 guys and my own instincts, I kind of piece these things together. The message I want to give you guys tonight is that this stuff all sounds scary, especially if you're just getting into it. There should be no fear here. My job as part of red pilling, waking people up and preparing them. Being prepared is not just about having the things, the food and the water and the silver. It's about being mentally prepared and spiritually prepared. If you're watching this video or live chat, you're here for a reason. You're here because God wants you to be here. God wants you to be a part of this movement, because there is nothing more important at this particular time in history than you could be doing. Nothing more important than warning people about this, because the information that we're putting out is life-saving and life-changing. One of the problems that we've had since Babylon is that these monsters, this Illuminati, they've had the power because they've had the money. They've had the wealth. That all changes. God wants his people 100% in control of the new world. I tell people all the time, this is the hardest thing I've ever done, and it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change places with anybody in history, any other time in history. The greatest time to be alive, guys. We're heading into the greatest transfer of wealth in history, on the heels of man's greatest accomplishment, which is eradicating this satanic evil. And we're headed into man's greatest age. We should be celebrating. But cognitive dissonance is going to be our biggest threat. And that's why I recruit you guys to get out and warn everybody that you care about. Friends, neighbors, relatives. Because, especially if you live in a city, again, the last thing you want is to not really understand what's happening and maybe be confused and being in a situation where you have to be on the streets when things are dangerous. I think, 5 years ago, I used to look at the future of this happening. Obama was the president at that time. It looked like Hillary was going to be next. I believed 100% that good was going to win out over evil, that we would destroy this cabal. But I figured millions of people were going to die doing it. Maybe hundreds of millions of people were going to die around the world when this happened. I used to rack my brain trying to figure a path to where we are right now, to being on the verge of this with virtually not a shot being fired. There's been a lot going on behind the scenes that'll come out. But as far as keeping the panic down, I couldn't write a better script. The only person that writes this script is God. Because as good as President Trump is, he has been flawless in executing this plan. You don't get this many wins in a row without God's hand guiding and protecting you. And when you look at the flip side, the deep state, the swamp, can't do anything right. These are the people that for thousands of years have been in control of our world who never lose. And you can see it. You saw it. I saw it for years. I could see what's coming, and I saw the arrogance of these people, how cocky they were in these interviews, because they knew they had a fix in. Never thinking that Hillary was going to lose. And even after she lost, they still thought they were going to be able to remove President Trump. You're starting to see the panic now because it's all backfired on them. Everything they've tried has boomeranged and is crushing them. And now they're starting to see where this is headed. The key is being prepared. Again, the ones that are prepared are going to thrive through this process. And just I don't ask for any fees. I don't accept donations. I'm not selling anything. My rewards come later. All I ask is that if you profit or gain anything from what you learn here, is that you pay it forward. You pay it forward now by reaching out to your friends. And when you do this, you're exposing yourself. Trust me, I know. To ridicule and name calling. No big deal. It shouldn't be. You're doing the right thing. You're doing God's work. That's part of being spiritually prepared. Because I think most of the people here are Christians. And what's our ultimate goal here? Is where we're going to end up ultimately. There are some of us who probably aren't going to make it through this, whether it's old age or, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. We're all going to die at some point. I don't know of any better way to ensure your spot in heaven than to be doing God's work, especially at this time. You're never going to be able to have the impact for doing good as you do right now. Because we're talking about just I'm going to take Litecoin for an example. Okay, anything you have on paper is going to be lost. And somebody like my age, I'm 64. I'm going to get my first retirement check next month. I might never get it. And I don't care. I'm good with that. Because I have physical silver and Litecoin. And they're going to be worth a lot more than my pension ever was or my retirement fund. A Litecoin today is for like $42. There's some analysts believe by 2024, that Litecoin that costs $42 today is going to be worth $3 million. And I think that number's conservative based on all the research I've done. And this is, I've had, and here's the biggest pushback I get on Litecoin is people who know about our financial system understand fiat currency, and that we have, with the dollar since 1971, we have a fiat currency. It's not backed by anything. Well, that's their argument against Litecoin. That was my argument against Litecoin. God put me on a lit path, and there's Litecoin, and I ignored it. I was on silver because in my mind I'm thinking it's in my hands. Silver has been money for 5,000 years. It'll be money for 5,000 more, and it's going to be more valuable because of the technology that's going to require big amount of silver. The funny thing is, if I would have listened when I first got the word, it cost me being a millionaire right now. Because I kept buying silver when I could have been buying Litecoin. It was like $3, $4. And I put a lot of money into silver. Now, I'm not complaining. I mean, we're going to be fine. But it just kind of illustrates to me, with Litecoin especially, even if you're concerned, you got to put a few $100s into Litecoin. $200 will buy you about 5, ballpark, a little bit less. That's $15 million by 2024. Silver, I believe silver is going to be, at some point, probably within 10 years, 50,000 an ounce. It'll be 1,000 an ounce probably by summer. It's $20 out the door right now. $20 for an ounce. I believe $1,000 by this summer. You want both. And getting back to paying it forward, I always recommend, you probably want about 6 weeks worth of food minimum just to have it. I get more if you can, because that's part of paying it forward too. Because trust me, you're going to have friends or relatives who aren't ready, who you're going to have to help out if this thing goes south. So you buy more. Litecoin, same thing. Litecoin and silver. And it's easier with the Litecoin and silver because the bottom line with that is, for most people, it's either going to be in the bank or it's either going to be invested in Litecoin or silver. I don't want the bank to get my money. And they changed the laws 2 years ago so that now your deposit is considered a loan to the bank. So when they go bankrupt, you're the last one on the list to get paid, which means you might get pennies on the dollar if you get anything. Well, if you lose your bank account, you lose your pension, you lose 80% of the value of your home, and who knows about the job? Wouldn't you like to have a couple $1 million laying around in that situation? It's not only going to make potentially rough spot a lot smoother for the people who have the assets when nobody else does. It's the Bible says that we're going to have sevenfold return to us what's been stolen from us. And there are trillions of dollars that have been stolen from us. And we're seeing a little bit in the Ukraine now. These guys have been stealing us blind since probably Bush 41. Literally trillions of dollars. It's going to be returned to us sevenfold. Us, not the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Peseurs. the common man, the common men who hear this and are prepared for what's coming. You can't believe how many people that were supposed to be smart. I live 25 miles from San Francisco. I know a lot of people that are a lot of those people who are going to be penny a year because they won't listen, because they think they're too smart. You know, they made their money in the stock market. They weren't around in 29, and they just think like it can never go down. Trust me, it's coming down, and it's coming down hard, and it's coming down quick. I've posted many articles, one today, I think, on the Federal Reserve and the repo program. Just to give you an example, in 08, 09, it was a $700 billion bailout that got us through that. The estimates are by the middle of January will be from September, mid-September, to mid-January, we're going to be at over $1 trillion in that short period of time. And they're not even, I mean, they're not calling it QE, quantitative easing, because they don't want to spook the markets. But that's what it is, and it's caught up to them. The problem now is that there's no cushion left. The banks are insolvent, including the central banks, including the Federal Reserve. Their only option is to keep printing money. All the assets they've been buying, all these bonds are worthless, and they know it. It was just a way to prop up the markets for 10 years. It's completely destroyed the pension funds, because pension funds need an 8% return just to maintain. And we've been at 0% interest, basically, for 10 years. It's a mathematical certainty that the economy's coming down. There's no way around it. One of the articles I posted was talking about the economy coming down from Zero Hedge. And they were saying that the worldwide debt is $250 trillion. That's not what the worldwide debt is. The United States debt is about 250 to 300 trillion right now. Everybody wants to talk about the 21 trillion deficit. What they're not talking about is Dr. Mark Skidmore out of Michigan State. He's, I think, the dean of economics there, with Catherine Austin Fitts, who was, I think, the assistant secretary of the Treasury for Reagan, I think. They investigated the HUD budget and the Department of Defense budget, and they came up with another $22 trillion that's missing. So we got 22 trillion plus 21 trillion plus all the unfunded liabilities, Social Security and Medicare. When you add that all up, the United States, we're in debt between $250 and $300 trillion. That money's never going to be paid back. President Trump knows that money's never going to be paid back. That's why he's just running up the credit card. He knows about bankruptcies. He spent all the money on the military. What he's doing is he's using this phony system that they created. You know, what did Obama do? He tried to tear down America from the inside. Our armed forces had planes and tanks that wouldn't run because they didn't have the parts or the budget to get the parts to fix the equipment. In some cases, they were running out of ammunition because they defunded them to the point they wanted to weaken them for what was going to happen when Hillary came on. Well, listen, He's been 10 steps ahead of these guys the whole way. First thing he did, what does he do? He starts building up the military, spending all that money. He knows he's not going to have to pay it back, but he needs the military strong for what's coming to weed out the cabal, the deep state, the swamp, because they've infiltrated virtually every aspect of our society. Entertainment, mainstream news, government, politics, the judicial system, all compromised. But those days are over. We're days or weeks from the first arrest starting, from the economy coming down, from the satanic pedophilia being exposed. You're already starting to see it. I'm amazed, actually, how quickly they're pushing the pedophilia. I thought it would be down the road a little bit, but I think it's smart because the more we get it out there, and here we call it planting seeds, putting the idea in somebody's head, even if they don't agree with you, hearing the message is going to stick. When it comes out in the news in 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it is, they're going to remember the conversation. And the first person they're going to call is you when they hear about it, when they're panicked, when they don't know what to do. That's what we're here for. We're here now to warn as many people as we can. Through the rough patch, we're here to help with extra food, extra water if we can, extra ammo, hopefully not. And then through the recovery with the assets, with what we're going to profit on our silver and Litecoin. This, there's nothing to fear. There's no reason to panic, and that's the absolute worst thing you could ever do. We still have time. By tonight, everybody listening to this could have Litecoin and silver bought. By tonight. I'm going to post in the comments, I'm going to post the website for Coinbase. Coinbase is where you buy Litecoin. And a website for a silver dealer where you can buy physical silver. I recommend Litecoin over Bitcoin because the return on investment is multiples higher on Litecoin right now. All you have to do is do the math. I was just talking to a friend today, and he's, man, I would really like to buy a Litecoin. A Bitcoin. Bitcoin was like at $7,400 for one this afternoon. $7,400. You could buy 165 plus Litecoin. So one Bitcoin, which the analyst who said 3 million for Litecoin said 12 million for Bitcoin. Well, wow, that's awesome. 12 million for one? Yeah, but it costs you $7,500. Take that same money, you can buy 165 Litecoin. That'll be worth 3 million a piece. Do the math. I believe the return on investment for Litecoin going to be greater than any asset in the history of man. This isn't a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, guys. This is a once-in-history opportunity. This has never happened before. It will never happen again. We got a short window here. And we're almost outside that window because then the prices start going up. When this goes down, when the stock market crashes or they close the banks, silver and Litecoin are going to go through the roof. Because anybody who has any kind of liquid assets is going to pour those assets into precious metals and cryptocurrencies. You're getting in on the ground floor. Less than 2% of the world even knows about this stuff. And even the ones who know it's coming don't know what to do about it. Oh God, the economy's going to collapse. You know, they got $10,000 sitting in the bank that is going to go to the bank unless they invest it. So would you rather have the bank steal your family's fortune, or would you rather put it to use for yourself and then hopefully do some good with it down the road? It's a no-brainer, guys. But you have to act. You can't just think about it. You have to do something, and you have to do something quick. This literally could happen tomorrow morning. That's how close we are. Once it gets going, you won't be able to buy any Litecoin. You won't be able to buy any silver because nobody's going to want to sell it because it's going to be going up so fast. So do not miss the boat on this. Again, I'll post the links. Anybody who has any questions, message me. I did post my phone number. I'll probably post it again tonight in the comments section so you can text or call me. I usually never pick up, but leave a message if you do call, and I'll get back to you. It's going to be up to us. And that's, I think, the thing that's different about what we do here is there's a lot of pages or YouTube channels who talk about the economic collapse, or they talk about the satanic pedophilia, or they talk about the swamp draining. But they don't really tell you what that means out on the street and what we can do to make it easier, make it more manageable. And that's what this is all about. It's if people have a plan, it's a lot easier to stay focused and moving ahead than if you're just sitting there waiting for the hammer to drop. And then when stuff does start to happen, you understand it. That's the whole point of a group like this, is being there for support. And then the people that are new to the Watchman page, I think are going to see it's a little bit different attitude here as far as working together to answer questions, to figure out problems, to stay ahead of the game so that we can do the best job we can. Every person matters. Every day I'm talking to 3 or 4 new people. 6 months ago, I maybe talked to 3 or 4 new people in a month. Now it's every day. And who knows what it's going to be next week. Because just wait until this blows up. Trust me, anybody who's doing this, your phone is going to ring off the hook. And that's a good thing. Don't miss this opportunity to take care of your family. Don't miss this opportunity to do God's work. I'm telling you, once you get into this, you won't be able to stop. You're going to want more of it. You're going to want to make more so you can give more. It's addicting. A good addicting. In this world, it's a rare thing. Oh, God. Run over again. I try and keep these things under an hour, guys. Just so you know. I usually do. The one thing I don't want to lose sight of is sometimes it's hard to understand the importance of a moment in time when you're in the middle of it. I think that's the one thing that 9/11 did for me personally. And this is 100 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger than 9/11. What's coming? When you look at, because we got the draining of the swamp, satanic pedophilia being exposed, worldwide economic collapse, all coming at the same time, basically, within days or weeks of each other. There are going to be this 10-year period in time, so from 5 years back to 5 years in the future. They're going to talk about this time for thousands of years. This is going to be the most studied period in American history, well, in world history. There's never been anything like this. When you look at it, it's a complete change. This is the ultimate. We're in the middle of the biggest battle, the Armageddon. This is really Armageddon, what we're going through right now. Good against evil. Good is winning. Enjoy it. There's nothing they can do at this point that's going to change where this is headed. They're finished. Their day is done. As you're going through this, cherish it. Take a look around and appreciate what's happening. Because trust me, 5 years ago, I was driving around National Forest looking for places to bug out my family because I knew the things I was saying was going to get my front door kicked in. I knew that if Hillary Clinton got elected, I was eventually going to have to go on the run. To come from that to be at this point without basically a shot being fired is a miracle. It's an act of God. So appreciate it for what it is. We're never going to say anything like it again. Your great grandkids are going to ask you about it 50 years from now. Enjoy the moment. This is man's greatest accomplishment, what we're doing right now. Don't let the mainstream media get to you with the propaganda. It's garbage. It's not worth listening to. Turn it off. Don't need it. I used to say turn Fox off until we got into the FISA stuff, and now they're actually reporting on something that makes a difference. But don't blame Hannity for that. He's had his hands tied. They won't let him talk about this stuff, the important stuff. It's all about distraction, guys. It's all about distractions. That's what this whole impeachment thing is. They know they can't win this. They got to stall. They got nothing left. It's embarrassing. I mean, look how ridiculous they look. But they have no choice. They know what they're doing is asinine, but it's either that or turn themselves in, and they're not going to do that. So enjoy the show. Get your popcorn. Okay, I got to get some questions here. We're going to be here all night. Beverly, how you doing? Benny, hello. Kathleen, how you guys doing? Yeah, Frazzle Drip is that video. Yeah, it's not good. Listen, guys, let me tell you something. World War III is not coming. China's not going to invade. Russia's not going to invade. The UN's not going to come and try and take our guns. All of this talk is fear porn generated by trolls trying to distract us. They don't want us looking at FISA. They don't want us looking at the Ukraine. They're going to do whatever they can to distract away from that. There's going to be no World War III. For World War III, you got to have China, Russia, the United States. You got to have 2 or 3 of those involved. Everybody knows what's going on. Putin knows. China knows. President Trump knows. Look what happened when they shot down our drone in Iran. What would have been the normal response? We'd have bombed the shit out of them. What happened? Nothing. Because President Trump knew that drone was shot down by a CIA deep state base in Iran. It wasn't the Iranian people that did it. They're trying to start a war. You can't start a war if nobody's going to play. And nobody's playing. There will not be a nuclear exchange. There could be a skirmish maybe in the Middle East. There's been skirmishes there since 9/11. No, I won't even get into that today. But there's going to be no World War. World War III isn't happening. Here's what I believe happened. Here's where people are confused. I believe, well, here's what the plan was. Many of you may remember that Obama, on the day of the inauguration, him and Obama and President Trump had a meeting. And then afterwards they asked, well, what did you guys talk about? Well, he said, our biggest danger is North Korea. You know why North Korea was our biggest danger? Because the deep state had been building up their nuclear program, because what they were going to do, how they were going to get our guns, Hillary Clinton was going to start a nuclear war with Kim. And then after they destroyed us, they wanted to turn America into a third world country. That's what was going down. When we elected President Trump, it changed the course. It changed God's mind. The first thing President Trump did, his number one priority, was to eliminate child trafficking, human trafficking. He made it his number one goal. It changed God's wrath. It changed Armageddon from the physical to the spiritual, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now play out. There's not going to be a World War III. We're watching Armageddon right now. And it's almost over. And we're going to find out there were a lot of skirmishes. There were a lot of, for those of you who don't know, we've got basically a freeway system under the United States. You can drive coast to coast underground. We also have a lot of deep underground bases, which were partially created for this nuclear war. They were all going to go down. All the elite were going to go down into their bunkers. Well, we got massacred. Then they come up in a year and clean up the remnants. That all changed when we elected President Trump. It shifted what was going to happen. And I've been saying that for a couple of years now, and so far, it's proven true. And I don't see anything that's going to change it now. Because every day that goes by, something else comes out to prove basically everything I've been saying is coming true. No nuclear war, no World War III, not going to happen, guys. This is almost over. Hang in there. Don't panic. Okay. Danielle, how you doing? Thank God for President Trump. Exactly. Yeah, we're almost there, guys. And here's the difference. Nothing's going to change the outcome. That's already decided. The thing that we can impact is how many people can we help between right now, this very minute, and whenever this goes down. That's what we should be thinking about. Because here's the more people that are ready for this, the easier it's going to be on President Trump. He's going to have fewer people he's going to have to worry about taking care of. The easier it's going to be on all of us. No, you can't take it with you when you die, the money. But money's always been a tool for me. I mean, to me, money's meaningless. Um, it's going to be a great tool to help with after this is all over. Donna, how you doing? Danielle's got a $100 savings bond that was taken out in 2011. Well, if it was me, I would cash it in for whatever you could get for it and convert it into Litecoin. I'll guarantee you, if you can even get half of that, that's a Litecoin. That's $3 million in 5 years. It's a lot more than $100. There's no questions, guys. Anything that you can convert, you want to convert. Because if you don't, you're going to lose it. There's some things you're not going to be able to. Probably sometimes your retirement funds. You can't move them. But whatever you can, move it. And when you do the math, even though there might be a penalty to move some of this stuff, it would be lost anyway. And whatever the penalty is going to be more than made up for in your return on investment. Michelle's asking how long the recovery is going to take. I'm saying between 1 to 2 years. Here's the thing, they're eventually going to have to declare a reset. And basically what that means is, if you've heard of, like, from the Bible, the Jubilees, like every 7 years they used to wipe out all debt. That's what's going to have to happen. Because this is so convoluted from all the corruption and manipulation. They couldn't straighten this mess out if they tried for 10 years. They're eventually going to have to wipe the slate clean and start over. What that means is nobody owes anybody anything. Like your house. You're going to own your house free and clear. Your car, same thing. But you're going to lose your pension fund. You're going to lose 80% of the value of your home. So, it's a trade-off. It's going to, for the people who see it coming and make the right moves, it's going to be a windfall. Most people my age maybe have $1 million or $2 million in their retirement if they're lucky. Think about it. What 5 Litecoin gets you at $3 million apiece? And I think that number is conservative, guys. Listen, cryptocurrency is the future of money. When this all goes down and people see how the banks have stolen us blind for the last 100 years, no one will want to put their money in a bank. And the great thing about cryptocurrencies is they make banks obsolete. That's why the banks hate them, because you don't need a bank with cryptocurrencies. It's wallet to wall. Buy a car, and trust me, when this goes down, within months, you'll be able to buy anything with cryptocurrencies. Now, that's another good point. That's why you want silver, because through this recovery period, there may be times when the power isn't on, the internet's not on. You know, your cryptos aren't going to do you any good. Now, for me, it's meaningless because I don't plan on selling any cryptos for 3 or 4 years. I'll use my silver to get through the recovery. Do whatever you can, as much as you can, because again, either if it's in the bank, if it's wherever it is, if you can move it, anything you can move, it's going to save you from losing it. Rita bought 6 Litecoin today. Good job, Rita. Oh, when you're buying silver, when you go onto the website, it's under junk silver. You want to buy at least a couple $100 worth of 1964 or older dimes. They'll be in the junk silver. Buy at least a couple $100 worth of dimes. When silver goes to 1,000, those dimes are going to be worth about $100 a piece. You don't want a 1 ounce round if you need to buy a loaf of bread at the grocery store. A dime, you can even snip pieces off for weight. Everybody's going to have a scale if it goes worst case scenario. But you want some dimes because they're going to be easier to barter with. And then after that, get like 1 ounce generic rounds. Again, message me if you have any questions. You want both Litecoin and silver. You want a little bit of both. I have personally 60% in Litecoin, 40% in silver. You can, if you're more conservative, you want to maybe weigh a little bit heavier to the silver and physical silver now. To me, I believe 100% Litecoin is going to be the greatest asset ever. So I've weighted it to the Litecoin side. Yeah, it's going to do a moonshot. When this happens, Litecoin is going to be $150, $200 in a matter of a day or two. Earl, how you doing? That's a good idea. Danielle's keeping a journal. You know what? I'd recommend, that's a good idea, Danielle. I recommend everybody start keeping a journal. Trust me, you're going to have more questions in 20 years than you have right now. People are going to want to know what it was like to live through this. Sandy, how you doing? Yeah, not a good time to be sarcastic, Jerry. But it's a point that I wanted to make anyway, so it's fine. Yeah, I need to get a scrolling device instead of my finger. This is our high-tech production, guys. Okay, guys, that's all the questions. Nothing to fear. Get a plan, stick to the plan. You have any questions, please, I encourage you to get a hold of me. That's what I'm here for. It's not an inconvenience. It's my job. And I enjoy doing it. So please get a hold of me if you have any questions. Don't wait because you didn't want to ask. Feel free. Be positive when you're talking to people. It's as positive as you can make it. It's still going to sound horrible to most people. I mean, it's scary stuff we're talking about. But it shouldn't be. Everything that's happening has to happen. The banks have to come down. The economy has to be destroyed and rebuilt. The swamp has to be drained or nothing's going to change. And that's part of the satanic pedophilia too. People have to know what happened so it never happens again. I'm going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5. God bless.